Hello and welcome back. In our last video, we learned the basics of a for loop, which showed us how to perform a repeated set of commands a set number of times. If we want to repeat a command while a specific condition is true or while it's false, we can use a while loop or an until loop. Let's open up a terminal and see the syntax of the while loop first. We're going to print the numbers 1 through 10, just like we did with the for loop in the previous video. So first, we're going to need a variable that we can use to increment within our while loop. We'll call ours num, and we'll set it equal to 1. Now, we want to print the value of num as long as num is less than or equal to 10. And so we're going to use a while loop to do this. And so we'll write our syntax. It will read while, and then our test. So I'll put square brackets, and inside the square brackets, I'll put our test condition, and I'll say, let's use parameter expansion on the variable num, and its value, we're going to compare it as an integer, so tac le less than or equal to 10. And you see I have in my test here, I've got the spacing appropriate. We'll do semicolon, do, just like we have with the while loop. And I will now put my command. What do I want to do? I want to echo num. All right. And if I run this right now, what I'll have created is an infinite loop. And the reason why is we're not incrementing our variable here, num. Essentially there's no like break condition because we never change the value of num. So this test is always going to be true. So let's actually see that. In order to do this, just like with the for loop, we have to put done. And so now when I run this, it's just an infinite loop. And so I'll cancel this with Control C. And you can see it's printed or echoed 1 every single time. And so if we want to, let's clear the screen. The correct way to run the while loop, we'll say while, and here's our test. Parameter expansion of num is less than or equal to 10. Do will echo num, and now we have to increment the value of num. So we'll say num equals, and here what we have to do is some arithmetic. So we better use arithmetic expansion. So 2 sets of parentheses, and we'll put our arithmetic inside here. We'll say num plus 1. I think we saw that inside of arithmetic expansion, we don't have to do parameter expansion, but I think it's more clear if we do it, so I'm going to leave it just like this. And now I'll say done. And when we do that, we get the similar results of the for loop. And so we get 1 to 10. Just like before, we saw that right here, this is a temporary variable. We can choose to do whatever we want. I can say while, I can set value equal to 1, and we'll say while value is less than or equal to 10, do echo value, and now we'll update value, and we'll say value is equal to arithmetic expansion, and we'll say value, let's go by 2 this time, why not? And then we'll say done. And so we print out the numbers 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Perfect. A similar result can be accomplished using an until loop if we reverse the test. The until loop will run until the given condition becomes true. So for example, if I say var equals 1, I can now use an until loop, and I'll say until, and my test, but now my test condition is going to look a little different. I'll say var is greater than or equal to 10. We'll do, and let's echo var, and we'll increment it. So we'll say var is equal to arithmetic expansion of var plus 1. And so now if we look here, right off the bat, var is 1. 1 is not greater than or equal to 10, so this is false. Because we're using an until loop, this condition is going to run. Until this is true, keep running this. Once it becomes true, then we stop. And so that's kind of the difference of until and while. While says, while this condition is true, run this, and once it becomes false, stop. Until says, while this condition is false, run this, and then when it becomes true, stop. And so if I hit done here, we get the same results. Actually, we don't, which is pretty interesting, right? This actually only prints the values 1 through 9, because when var becomes 10, right? When we echo var as 9 and we increment it to 10, when we get here, the condition is now true. 10 is not greater than, but it is equal to 10, so the loop stops. So really, if we wanted to run this to 10, we'd have to make this value right here 11. Lastly, we can break out of a loop if a given condition is met using the break command. So let's run our previous example again, and this time let's break the loop if var is equal to 7. So I've got var defined, I'll redefine it, and we'll say until, and then we'll say parameter expansion on var greater than or equal to 10. Do, we'll echo var, so we'll do parameter expansion, and then we'll put an if statement here. We'll say if, and now we'll put our test, not D, if the parameter expansion of var is equal to 7, then what I want to do, so we'll say then, we're going to break, and I'll just type the word break, and now I'll end my if statement, phi, and now I'll increment var. So I'll say var is equal to arithmetic expansion of var plus 1. And now I have to end my until loop, so I'll type done. So what this is going to do, it's going to start with a value of var as 1, and until this condition is true, we're going to loop through this. So we're going to print the number, we're going to echo the number, and then we're going to check if the value of var is 7, then we break. And what break is going to do is it's going to stop the entirety of the loop. Otherwise, if this isn't the case, this if block won't run, and we're just going to increment var and then continue on. So let's see. And good, this is the expected result, right? We print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. When var is 7, we echo var, and then this test is true, so we enter in this if statement, and then we break. So we use the break command to end the while loop. The rest of the iterations of this, the until loop, the rest of these iterations don't run. Awesome. So it seems like we've seen a few examples of the while loop and the until loop. Let's try to implement the while loop into a script with some of the other skills that we've learned so far. So I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to cd into my scripts folder. And I'm going to make a file, and we're going to call it ninfo for maybe network info. So I'll do nano ninfo. I'll put my shebang, bin bash, so we know what interpreter we're using. And I'm going to put a comment here. We'll say gather information for a specific internet device using IP and ping. So we're going to use the IP command and the ping command to gather some information and maybe output it in a nicer format. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to have to get the device name that the user wants to get information for. So I'm going to say echo, and I'll use the TAC-N option to keep it on the same line, and we'll say enter your device name. And then I will read the device. So we'll use the variable device here. And so right now, I want to use a while loop to present the user with a series of a menu. And so our menu is going to allow the user to press 1 to get the device's IP address, press 2 to get the device's MAC address, press 3 to test the network's reliability using ping, and then enter 0 to quit. So when the user enters 0, I want to stop the while loop. But while the user has not entered 0, we want to allow this loop to keep running. And so I'm going to use a while loop here. And inside, I'm going to represent the user's choice in a variable called choice. So I'll say while choice not equal to 0, do, and we're going to do the following. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to call echo to echo a blank line, and then I'll echo enter 1 to get your device IP. We'll say echo enter 2 to get your device MAC. Echo enter 3 to test your network using ping. And then we'll say echo, enter 0 to quit. All right. And then now that we've presented them this menu, we want to get their choice. So I'm going to say echo tac n to keep it on the same line. Enter your choice. And then I'm going to read a variable choice. And I'm just going to call echo again to print a new line. And right now, I'm going to end the while loop. So I'll say done. So you can see right here, I don't have a variable choice defined. So when this test is run for the first time, parameter expansion, it's going to look for the value of the variable choice. There is nothing, so this is just going to be empty, and that's not equal to 0. And so this should allow me to run this. So let's test this. I'll Control X. We'll save it. I got to give it the privileges. So I'll do chmod plus x n info. And now I'll run ninfo. My device name is WLAN0, and I'll enter 1, it works, 2, it's still going, 3, it's still going, but if I put in 0, it stops. So that's pretty nice. That is doing exactly what we want it to do. So now, before we go back into our script, let's look at the IP command again. I think we saw we could use IP to get some information about our internet-enabled devices, like our network adapter, like our wireless or Ethernet. And so I can do IP ADDR, and it will give me all of the information. However, if I know my device name, for instance, I know I'm connected on my wireless network right here with WLAN0, I can type IP ADDR, and then I can type show, show, and then the name of the device. So show WLAN0. Oh, except you better spell it right, WLAN0. And so now I get just that information, right? If I do this for ETH0, I get different information there. So this is the command that we're going to want to use to extract information about the IP address, because it's right here, and the MAC address right here. What we're going to do is we're going to call the command, and then we're going to grep the lines that are specific to the IP call or the MAC address call. If you look here, the IP line has INET in it, and the MAC address line has Ether in it. And so we're going to use those as our grep kind of search patterns. So let's go do this right now. So I'll clear the screen. We'll do nano ninfo. And so we're back in here. First thing we're going to do is check if, and I got to make sure I'm in my while loop still, if we have our test, and so I'll say choice, better spell it right, is equal to 1. All right, so if choice is equal to 1, then what do I want to do? Well, I want to create a variable. I'll call it IP, and I'm going to use command expansion. So I'm going to put a command inside of here, and I'm going to say IP ADDR show device, right, depending on the device that they give. And then I want to pipe that to grep, and I want to match whole word, so I'll use TACW, INET, and once that's done, we'll stop that for right here for now, and then I'm going to echo the device name, so we'll do device IP, and then I'll put in here the IP variable. So we'll do parameter expansion on that. So let's test to see if this works. Oh, and I got to put a fee here for right now. Let's check to see if this works. All right, so we'll close this, save it. If I call ninfo and I say WLAN0, we enter in our IP. It looks like we are getting all of that information. So that's good, right? That gives me the line, WLAN IP, and then I have all this information. However, I only want this number right here. And so I'm going to use the awk command to grab just that information. So it looks like I have some fields. They're separated by spaces, and I want to get, this is the first field, I want the second field. So I'm going to use awk to do that. And I'll enter in 0 there. Okay, so let's go back to our script. And in our command here, after grep, we're going to pipe again to the awk command. So I'll say awk tach-f. We said our delimiter is the space. That's what's separating everything. And then I'll do single quotes, curly brackets, and then the syntax is print. And I think we said we want the second field. So we'll do $2 here. We'll close the curly brackets and end with a closed single parentheses. So now if we run this, we should be grabbing just the field that we want. So let's check. And if this works, then the rest of it will be very similar in nature. So we entered choice 1, and we get WLAN0 IP, and that is wonderful. Perfect. So we've grepped it. I keep entering Q to quit. I should change that maybe. So we'll go back to our script, nano and info. And so now let's put the condition if the user entered in 2. So if the user entered in 2, we'll do an elif statement. Elif choice is equal to 2. Then let's make a variable. We'll call it Mac, and we'll set it equal to command expansion again, right? So we're at $ parentheses. We'll put our command in here. IP ADDR show. We're going to call the device, so parameter expansion on our device variable. We're going to pipe that to grep, and now we're going to match whole words, so tach-w with ether. I think that's the pattern we said we would use for the MAC address. And then we're going to get a similar thing here. This is going to give us the whole line, so we want to pass this or pipe this to awk tach-f, and our delimiter is going to be space again. And I think it's going to be the second field. Print $2, and we'll close that. And then we'll echo device Mac, and then we have Mac. All right, so let's try this now. Let's verify that that's working. So we'll enter in choice 2, and it looks like we do in fact get our MAC address. Nice. So if I enter in 0, right, when we called IP ADDR show line 0, so here's the line. Again, the delimiter is spaces, so this is our first field, and the MAC address is our second field. So awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, let's go back to the script now. Nano and info. We now have to do another elif in case they entered in choice 3. This one's going to be a little bit more complicated, I think. Elif, we'll say choice is equal to 3. Then, what we want to do here is, now they want to use ping to test their website, or to test their network. So first we should get a website that they're going to use. So we'll say echo tach-n. Please give a website, I guess I could say, or IP to ping. All right, so we'll do that, and then we should read, we'll just call it website. We'll read website, and then let's echo a little statement here. We'll say testing network by pinging, and then we'll put whatever was stored in that variable. We'll say website. And we'll do ... because it'll give that illusion that we're doing some work here. Now let's create a variable. Let's call it status. And we want to set this equal to a command. So we're going to use command expansion. And we want to call ping. And let's actually get out of this for a second. So I'm going to save this. Let's actually call ping. And I'll just ping google.com. And let's see the output. So I don't really want to get all of this, and I have to hit Control-C to manually end this. We don't want it, right? I think we saw that you could send a set number, ping-h, a set number, of counts right here. So we're going to use the tach-C option to send maybe 10 counts, and then it will stop automatically. And we want to then just get, I think, this line right here, And so we're going to grep for the word, we can grep for the word packets, it looks like. And then I'm going to want to only print out this bit right here, the packet loss. So we'll use awk, and it looks like if we use spaces, that's not a bad one, but it looks like everything is separated by commas. 10 packets transmitted, comma, 9 received, comma, 10% packet loss, comma. So we'll use commas as our field delimiter, and it's going to be here's the first field, second field, it's going to be the third field that we print out. All right, so let's try to do that. So we'll do nano ninfo, and we're going to come down here. And so we'll get into our command. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to call ping tac-c, and we said we're going to send 10 counts, and then we'll pass whatever is stored in the variable website. So we'll do parameter expansion. And now we're going to pipe this to grep, and we're going to search for, I guess we can do whole word patterns again, packets, and then we'll pipe this to awk, tac-f. This time our field delimiter is going to be a comma, and we said we wanted to print, I think it was the third field, so let's try that. Hopefully that works. All right, and once that's done, we have this nice variable here. Well, let's echo. We'll just say network, I don't know, what do you want to call it? Network strength, I guess. Sure, why not? And then we'll print status. All right, so that's our elif block. Lastly, we need an else block here, so we should have else. And then we'll just echo thank you, goodbye. Right, that's in case they entered in 0 or they entered in some other option. If it's not 1, if it's not 2, if it's not 3, if it's 0 or some other option, maybe they entered in 9, we'll just say thank you, goodbye, and then we end our if blocks. So that looks perfect, and then our while loop is effectively done, so that's already closed. Hey, I think we're done with this script. So let's test it. So I'll hit Control X and we'll save this. And let me clear the screen. And so we'll call ninfo, and we'll enter in LAN 0. Let's get our IP address. So that's working nicely. We're still running this. Let's get our MAC address. That's running nicely. Let's test our network. We'll ping google.com again. Why not? So it says testing network by pinging google.com. I'm going to want to change that T to a capital T. That bothers me, but I'll do that later. Network strength is 0% packet loss. Hey, very good. And so it's still allowing us to go. Let's test it with an IP. So 192.168.1.1. We'll do that. All right, it's going. It's doing its work. It's doing its work. All right, network strength, 0% packet loss. And so if I enter 0, it will quit. If I enter in something else, 7, it says thank you and goodbye. Oh, but I got to enter 0 to quit because, yeah, that's interesting. So if we enter in 7, it says thank you and goodbye, but it still goes through. It still goes through. So maybe we should put something in there. Let's actually fix that right now. Nano ninfo. We'll use a break statement. So we'll say, we'll put elif. Let's put another condition here. We'll say elif choice equals 0. Then we'll say thank you, goodbye. And then we'll put else echo that is not an option. Ending program. All right, and we'll put the break statement right here, and that should break. Hopefully that will break out of our loop. And what did I need to change? Oh, the capital T, that was bothering me. All right, so what we did here, right, we just added another elif block to deal with the proper closing of the program, and then an else block to capture all other choices, which should also end the program. So we're going to break it. We'll break out. So we'll save this, and let's test it now. So ninfo, WLAN 0, and I have a syntax error. So let's go check and see what that's about. You probably saw it already. Let's see. I have a syntax error on the else block. I don't see it. elif. Oh, I do see it. On this, what did I forget? I forgot then. So I forgot the keyword then here, all right? And so that should fix the issue. Hopefully you probably put it in there, and so you're probably laughing at me right now. Let's see. All right, so that's good. We can get our IP, we can get our MAC, and let's see what happens if I enter in 8 as a choice. It says that is not an option, ending program, and we did stop the script. So the break statement's working nicely. Wonderful. I'm really happy with how this script is working. I'm going to move it. So I'm going to do sudo mv ninfo, and I'm going to move it to our root user, local bin, which is where we're keeping all of our scripts that we want to execute. And so if I clear the screen now and I back out, I should be able to run ninfo wherever I am, and I can. So that's awesome. I can get my MAC address. I'll quit. And so I think this is a perfect place to stop. Let's CD over to our CD user local bin where we're holding our scripts, and let's just list them. So it looks like we wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pretty simple scripts to just give us a basic overview of Bash scripting, a great place to start. And now I think you have the fundamentals of the Linux command line to do some pretty cool stuff. So hopefully you found this informative, entertaining, and interesting, and I look forward to seeing you in other videos. Thank you.